Are you confused about all the Wi-Fi 7 MLO types? Well, so am I. So let us look at them. And I'm going to show you two different tests I did in a spectrum analyzer last year on two different clients, and why some MLO types can be a little bit more different than the others, and maybe not as cool as you want them to be. So let us first look at the different MLO types. So we have not just one, as you see here. We have the multi-link single radio MLSR, enhanced multi-link single radio EMLSR, non-simultaneous transmit and receive multi-link multi-radio NSTR MLMR, simultaneous transmit receive multi-link multi-radio STR MLMR, and enhanced multi-link multi-radio EMLR. That is a mouthful. What I'm gonna focus on is the NSTR MLMR and STR MLMR. Reason for that is that Intel BE200 comes up as an NSTR MLMR, and so does my phone when connected to an Wi-Fi 7 access point, for example, Cisco or Aruba. And for NSTR MLMR, it reads that it is non-simultaneous transmit and receive multi-link multi-radio. So non-simultaneous, but characteristics is that it's simultaneous transmit or receive over multiple links. It's a little bit confusing, but to explain it a little bit easier, from our testing, it just authenticates on two bands at once, 6 and 5 gigahertz, for example, and it will not send traffic on both bands. Is just authenticate to both bands at the same time. So it is not just one MLO type, because usually when we read all the typical marketing on the box of the device you're buying, that it has Wi-Fi 7 MLO, that's cool, but that doesn't mean that it supports sending traffic on both bands at the same time. And this is the same with the iPhone, but iPhone 16, for example, is even worse. It doesn't support 4K QAM, doesn't support 320 megahertz, and also comes up as an NSTR MLMR and only supports sending traffic on one radio at a time. Is that a bad thing? Well, it depends. I'm going to show you a video and why the other version probably isn't that good. Always. Well, it depends on the client. The next one I'm going to focus on is the STR MLMR, and this one is a simultaneous transmit and receive multi-link multi-radio, and one of those clients is the Qualcomm Fast Connect 7800. That is the same chipset you will find now, I think, in the Samsung S25 Ultra, and you can also get it for like an M2 slot card for your machine. You usually find them on AMD and newer AMD laptops. And this can do SDR. So this one has dual radio, so it can do simultaneous transmit and receive on both two channels at the same time, 5 and 6 gigahertz, for example. So let us look in the spectrum and see how those differentiate. So I'm going to go here. First test I'm going to do is the Intel BE200 on the Cisco Wireless or Meraki 9178. So what I'm doing now, doing a speed test, and it is joined to 6 and 5, but it only sends traffic on 6 gigahertz. And I think the maximum speed I'm coming up to here is around 2.74 gigabits per second. So that is good. It always authenticates to those two bands, 6 and 5. If I introduce some interference on 6 gigahertz, it can jump to 5, and then have seen it also had been associated to 5 and 2.4 at the same time. When I do join it to an Aruba access point, it looks like it is authenticated to all 3 bands at the same time, but when I join to Cisco, it only sees 2 bands at the same time. But it never uses any traffic other than the first associated band, right? So that is the Intel BE200. Again, the iPhone would, if I did the same test on iPhone, it will do the same thing, but just a 160 megahertz. And then we do the Qualcomm 7800 on the same access point. And I just have to wait for the iPerf to time out first. And we can see when it tries to authenticate, now associate to network and authenticate it. And then we see there is some traffic there on the 320 megahertz. And then you wait a little bit when I get the iPerf to work. And then we see what is happening there. So it used 320 megahertz for a small amount of time and then jumped to 160 on 6 gigahertz and 80 megahertz on Uni 1 there on 5 gigahertz. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take an iPhone, connect it to my 5 gigahertz SSID and generate some traffic to see if the Qualcomm with this cool dual link MLO type, how that works, right? Will it still do the same thing? Let's see. So I'm going to do a speed test and generate some traffic here. So we see this quite clearly there to the left there on Uni 1, and then generate some traffic. Right, and then I'm going to do a new test. Did you see what happened? I can rewind it a little bit, and then let's see exactly what happens. So I'm doing a speed test on 5 gigahertz, and the Qualcomm card during the iPerf doesn't look at 5 gigahertz to see if there's any utilization, if there's a client there or many clients. Okay, there's only one client there now, but it didn't see much of that. So what it did, it just destroyed the 5 gigahertz channel during the iPerf. But even though the 6 gigahertz is nothing happening there, it should have just stayed on 320 megahertz, not split the channel and jumped to 6 and 5. So you can see this again, doing the speed test, and then there. So is that good? Well, I don't know. What happened, really, and why I want to show this, right, is that I did a lot of these tests when I had my kids upstairs playing Roblox with their friends. And some of these games are very latency sensitive. So when I did this test on the Qualcomm card, they usually dropped out of Roblox because every time I did this test, it jumps to 320 on 6 gigahertz and then back to 160 on 6 gigahertz and then 80 on 5 gigahertz. And then they were thrown out of Roblox every time I did it. So then suddenly the BE200 was better because it just stayed on 6 gigahertz and it got more bandwidth. I got almost 3 gigabit per second on that one, and with this test I got like 179 gigabit per second. So that's 2 different MLO types at least. So again, it depends on the radio, it depends on the clients, but we just wanted to share this just to show you that some MLO types can be more dumb than others.